Jules, how's it?
Connie, man.
I'm doing great.
Am I early
How about
or
you?
were you late?
Not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, sorry, I was just running a bit late. Um,
No problem.
yeah. Hey, Les, how's it, man?
All right, in yourself.
Not too bad, not too bad. Um, yeah, so I just want to see if I can give some few people a minute to join. Um, yeah. So yeah, I see we just went live now. Yeah, there's someone I wanted to. Let me see if I can invite someone in this stream as well. Let's see. Yeah. Otherwise, how did you guys feel about the live design battle?
Well, I hadn't actually worked in Figma for most of this year because I've been focused mainly on Framer and I'd grown out of touch a bit, so I was a bit slow.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think about the challenge?
That's okay. I would have liked to do a coffin.
Yeah, same here, exactly. I would have loved to do the coffin. It was going to be more challenging and seeing how we could,
Yeah.
play around with typography, because if you're designing that kind of thing, the typography has to be somewhat,
Yeah.
reflecting, I already had some ideas already, but some was changed. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I mean, look, I had to accommodate the other designer, and
Yeah.
I think being inclusive is important.
True.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
you should just tell her to change her religion. Why not? That's the realistic thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and personally, it's been a long time I did like speed design, right? Because my day to day work, involves uh, my day to day work involves a whole lot of designing products, right? Dashboards and all of that. So it's been quite a while since I did speed design on the landing page or something
Okay.
like that. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's
No,
been
that's
quite a
cool.
while.
That's cool. Yeah, so I see James. You are here. Guys, if you are streaming, if you're joining us, we are streaming live. And yeah, so just greet us and let us know which country you are streaming from. Yeah, so I'm joined by, some of the designers who entered the live design battle on Friday. So we are going to announce the winners. Shortly before we join, I mean, before we talk about today's knowledge sharing session. James, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. And Anna, you're good to see you as well. Les, good to,
What's up, James?
well, not see you, but well, good to have you.
Yeah. It can you switch on your camera, James, since you're
Yes.
gonna speak? Yeah.
Um, okay. I just tried to do that. It's talking about, okay, there's some technical difficulty.
Okay.
Just a moment.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 Cool.
Okay, let me leave and
Yeah.
try to join again and see.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Cool. That's fine. We'll wait for you, and then yeah, we'll jump straight into it. It's already in 9 minutes past 5. Yeah. So again, if you're joining us, let us know. Just greet us and let us know which country you're streaming from. Yeah, we had an awesome we had an awesome time on Friday, and Friday evening we were in the Figma streets. Instead of like going out and partying, we're being real nets. Yeah, spending time on Figma, right? And yeah, it was quite fun. I really enjoyed that. And yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see what you guys came up with. If we stick to the coffin challenge, but I think also the designing for someone who cannot read, so that they're able to use a washing machine is also I think it was a good challenge, because you do sometimes get helpers, right, and they might not necessarily have a certain level of literacy, and some of these machines can be a bit complicated, right? Yeah, so that was a nice challenge, even though you guys preferred the first one. Akinwale, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How you doing?
Not too bad. Yeah. So I basically I want us to start, and I'm expecting James, to come back shortly. Yeah, if you can, it will be great if you can, show your face a bit.
Okay, give me a minute. Just give me like a minute. Let me do some settings on my device. Just like a minute, please.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's see. Yeah. So guys, Agunwale, are you there? Okay. Okay. Just waiting for Akinwale to join. Yeah, but I'm just worried about the time now. I don't want to spend a lot of the time, guys. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Okay. You know what? I think I'm gonna start. Yeah, I think I'm gonna start. And let me just share my screen quickly. And you guys, you let me know when you see it. Let me see if it's being shared.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let me. I don't know if I can do like full mode or something. Okay, maybe not, but let's see. Yeah. So, guys, yeah, I mean, there are a number of things. So, I just want to say thank you to our sponsor. Let's see. Oh, it's Emmanuel that has joined. Yeah. Hi, Emmanuel. Yeah, great to see you, man. So yeah, I actually wanted to ask Akinwale, yeah, but I'll say thank you to our sponsor, and yeah, our live design battle went well on Friday, and I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. It was quite fun. I know we had to switch up things a bit. Yeah, so yeah, so we've got a number of activities that Better wants to sponsor. And yeah, so we're also looking forward to get other sponsors as well, so that we can spread the love. And yeah, so we've done a live design challenge, and yeah, we're gonna announce the winner shortly. And also, we want to have the best home office setup. That is something that's something that we want to do. And actually, I've just created now a competition for that, the best home setup. So if you've got the best home office setup, please, take a picture of your setup, with your nice chair, desk, flowers, or whatever stuff you've got, right? I've seen a lot of people posting pictures. So we actually want to make that thing official. Let's just have a bit of fun. yeah, I'll talk about this shortly. Yeah, and then we've got other, cool ideas, right? And one of the ideas is to, ask designers to share, their like, kick-ass designer portfolio. I'll definitely put another competition for that. And then if you think you've got like, an awesome swag as a designer, in terms of your outfits, take a picture, enter that competition. So the competition that is live right now is if you've got the coolest, home office setup, that competition is live. And yeah, so let me actually talk a bit about that. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So this is it. Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys can see. Let me just double check that. Yeah. So basically, how this will go is, you will share a picture of your cool home office setup, and any person can enter, and the first prize will be 1,000 rands. You've got about a month, 30th of November, and you'll basically, I mean, you can share, right? Go to the comment section. This is live, right? I've posted this. If you go to our experience design on LinkedIn, yeah, so in the comment section, you'll be able to just share your picture there, right? And yeah, you can simply upload the picture, and then you must, tell us, the thinking behind your setup, right? Maybe there's a theme that you want to talk about. Not too much information, one or two or three sentences is fine. We just want to have an idea, in terms of the thinking behind your theme, right? What colors did you choose? Or maybe the setup, I mean, I don't know, maybe you've got plans, etc., right? Maybe something that speaks to you, right? But yeah, that's basically the competition that's live. And yeah, I want us to, before we announce the winners, I want to say thank you so much, guys. Thank you to everyone that participated in the live design battle. The prize was 5,000. I want to say thank you so much. Thank you to those who participated. And yeah, it was like a fun event. And yeah, we're planning to have more of these. Yeah, so spread the word about these like fun events that we've got. Another one now, share a picture of your cool home setup, and tell us why and tell us a bit about your theme and your thinking or approach that you've used. So now, thank you guys so much, and I hope to see you again, in participating in this one. And I want to announce the two winners. We've decided, to choose two, and yeah, so we've got Obiajulu Anayo from Nigeria, and we've got Les Duplessis from South Africa. I will share a post, and I will share, the work that they've done. Basically, the brief was, design a washing machine that can be used by someone who cannot read, and basically their concept was, based on the idea that you can create a washing machine that doesn't need someone to read, right? Some was using, like, an audio input, and there's also like, some instructions that you can get from the washing machine, and there were like a lot of like visuals and visual controls, to illustrate the options that you can choose without having to read. Yeah, so I mean, the guys had some, great ideas, and again, the main important thing was to see how you can translate that into design. Yeah, so I want to say congratulations, to you guys, and congratulations, for sticking through the entire, like, 2 hours. And yeah, so thank you once again to those who entered. And a lot of you, in your designs, you had like a lot of descriptions, etc., right? But the design of the washing machine was still an old washing machine, with labels and with heavy instructions and guideline, right? And those who met the brief, they basically designed a very minimalistic, product detail page with elements of the washing machine, right? So the controls were very important, so I can see the actual product, which was the machine in this case, right? That it was actually a product that doesn't require someone, to read. And I know some, they've mentioned, braille, etc., right? But the most important thing was to see the concepts and the thinking in the design more than just hearing about the words. So that's like really the reason why I felt that these two, they've actually played I mean, like they've actually done justice in terms of translating the requirement. Cool, guys. Yeah, I see. Akinwale is here. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know. I just can't share my camera. I can't. It just not activating. I've been battling with it for like 3 minutes. I don't know why. It just
No, it's fine. You can talk.
Yes, I can. I can.
Yeah. So yeah, that's fine. I was just congratulating Obiajulu, Anayo, and Les Duplessis. So yeah, you will each receive 2,500, and yeah, we'll make an arrangement, to pay you guys. We'll talk to you offline about that. And yeah, thank you so much for participating, and to everyone that entered. Yeah, and I will share a post sometime today, to congratulate you, and then I'll also like share some of the designs that you guys came up with during the live design battle. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, man.
yeah,
Appreciate it.
cool. Yeah. So yeah, I want to head over to James. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and yeah, James, you can share your screen on your side. Yeah. So James, you're gonna be talking about information architecture for simple and complex products. He will be talking about that in context of best practices.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So just like Akinwale, I'm unable to share my camera. I mean, it's just
No, it's
throwing
fine.
up this error message. Okay. So just a moment to adjust. And okay.
It's fine. Yeah, you can share your screen, and then I'll add it. Okay, cool, awesome. Let me.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Please just talk a bit about yourself. Who you are from a personal perspective. And then also as a designer, right? What have you done in this industry?
Okay. Thank you very much, to me. My name is James. I am a product designer, product design lead at Crust Africa. Formerly, I was a petroleum engineer for quite a number of years.
Yeah.
Until I realized I was not going to achieve my life's objectives as a petroleum engineer, and so I decided to switch to tech. Went to software engineering school for about a year.
Yeah.
And then all the while as a petroleum engineer, I was moonlighting as a graphics designer. And so I was already used to design or designing. And so going to tech, software engineering school, and combining this with my experience as a graphics designer, it was a natural translation to product designing. And since I became a product designer, I've worked on products in transport tech, ed tech, fintech, of course, and contributed to projects in health tech as well. It's been a fantastic journey as a product designer, and it's something that I continue to find joy and self-expression in. At a personal level, I hardly have a life at this time. I'm constantly working, but normally I like sport. I love the martial arts. I have a black belt in karate, and I teach Krav Maga sometimes. And
Oh, nice,
yes,
nice.
I love swimming. Yeah, I love watching athletics. I'm not a fantastic runner, but I love watching people who run. I love
Sure.
cooking. When I have some time, yeah, I love to just leave my computer and mix things up in the pot and eat. No matter how it turns out. So that's me. That's a little bit about my journey as a product designer.
Sure. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Yeah, I also I mean, I do love cooking, and some things that they don't turn out great, but I commit to eat what I've cooked.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm going to rush as quickly as possible through the slides I have. All right. The title, Information Architecture for Simple and Complex Product Best Practices, is a broad topic, expectedly. And I like to say that information architecting is a space on its own. I've heard of courses, 10-day long courses just on information architecture. And so I am not disillusioned about what is possible to cover within the time that we have. However, I want to, help people who are just new in this space to appreciate what it's about, then help people share my perspective of what simple and complex digital products are, and then share some tips on how to go about them. Information architecture for these kinds of products. The first thing is, what are digital products, right? Just so we can have a shared context of what we're talking about. Digital products are simply goods or intangible goods that exist in digital format, and primarily concerned with websites, software, and apps. But of course, software and applications are the same thing, but they're used in different contexts by different people. But if you have to interact with a product via an interface, those are the kind of products that I'm, concerned with in this presentation. And so software, applications, websites are information systems that can be interacted with to get jobs done. Person needs to get something done, and the solution has been built in such a way that it can be interacted with via an interface. And so it's probably software, website. But these things are information systems. And why is it important to realize that they're systems? Because that's how we can start to appreciate the concept of information architecture. You see, systems require structure. Okay. A definition of systems or a system is that it's a set of interconnected components or processes that work together. And so if you're going to interconnect processes and components to work to deliver the goods, there has to be structure. And to exist, structure must be, created, defined, developed, built, arranged, set up, any of those words, but also it must be architected. And architecting it means
So
exactly
James,
being.
I want you guys, so Leslie, Obiajulu, Emmanuel, right? If you guys want to jump in, have questions or maybe comments to add to the conversation, please feel free. I'll be doing so in between myself.
Oh, absolutely. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so it has to be architected, meaning it should be designed with intent, okay, to work effectively. Imagine a car that's not built intentionally. You might have all the amazing parts, but unless they're interconnected and architected to deliver the goods, the car would not be as useful. It wouldn't even be a car. So to be effective, information on websites and apps should be architected, hence information architecture. But what is information architecture? To sort of bring it all together. a popular definition is that it's the practice of organizing and structuring and labeling content in an effective and sustainable way. Okay, I just would like to talk about the keywords that jump out. It's a practice, which means you can get better at it. And while doing it, you are organizing things and structuring them and labeling them. But sustainable talks about expansibility, the fact that the application or website that has been architected should be expandable. A good example is the current WhatsApp. Okay, we woke up one morning and we see that WhatsApp now has channels. I'm not sure if it's the same in your countries. Is that the same? Exactly, you know. So that's
it's the same. I've seen a number. Yeah, I've seen a number of brands. I mean, actually, even some they have even like 500,000 followers. You know, some they're like heading to 1 million. And I mean that's like amazing because the channels they've been launched recently, and I've also seen a number of job opportunities in the design space where people now are focusing on information architecture, UX. Architecture is becoming a role. To like really like fine tune the structure, right, and to have someone even from an omnichannel perspective, right, across the different digital channels that the companies have, right. So traditionally, that's a role. Those are like one of the duties that a traditional UX designer would work on, especially a senior UX designer. Yeah. And I think, look, the best experience is to have zero information architecture, and it's to elevate, like the most critical features, right, without the customer having to navigate, to a complex structure, right?
Thank you very much. Very true. Very true. So WhatsApp was built in such a way that they could add the feature of channels. And that's because the information architecture of that application, it was soundly done. So, but why do we need to architect information minus the things we've said? Like, what are the tangible benefits and consequences, by extension, if you don't have information architecture done? Well, it's primarily to help users find information. And
sorry, man, I don't want to interrupt you, but you left out a lot of maybe 15 years worth of information in that statement about WhatsApp. Because initially it started off as a means of phoning people for free. Okay, and it was started by two guys and eventually sold for $700 million to Facebook, which they purchased because of the large user base, and they didn't know what to do with it because they couldn't monetize it. And eventually, when social media started moving towards stories instead of posts, and video became popular, I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to monetize and access that base. Do you remember a few years ago there were these hoaxes about WhatsApp is going to become paid, and people were up in arms, and they moved into Telegram in droves. So that's the power of having such a massive user base, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to find a way to charge even a small amount of money so that they can earn from it, because it has only ever been an expense to them. They've never earned a single dollar from WhatsApp's users.
That's a good point. Actually, I even remember that, and I was like, hell no. Now, how am I gonna pay for WhatsApp? I want to, switch to, Telegram. Actually, we have so many platforms, social platforms out there, But yeah, now because we are more prepared to pay with our eyes than with our dollars.
True. Thanks. And that's a very important point. I mean, the one about thinking about how to monetize WhatsApp, because in the end, WhatsApp is a for-profit venture, but I think it was about $19 billion, if I remember clearly, actually, that Facebook paid for WhatsApp. And that has to count for something. And so, fantastic there.
No, that's what they paid for Figma. They paid $700 million around 2008 or 2009, 2000, maybe 2010. I'm not 100% sure. But you're referring to Figma being purchased by Adobe. That was the $20 billion figure.
Okay, I'll share a link afterwards, but let's just continue. So let's do a shallow dive, into information architecture. Talk a bit about the benefits, information architecture and navigation design, which are quite related, and then eventually move to how these come into simple and complex products. So for users, there are benefits of good information architecture. According to a duo, Peter Morville and Louis Rosenfeld, in their book Information Architecture for the World Wide Web, they talked about 4 main needs that users go to websites or applications for, but mostly websites. And the benefits of good information architecture are connected to these needs, like Siamese twins, meaning to meet these needs, you need to get information architecture right. Okay. So known item seeking, that is when people are looking for specific products. For instance, on Amazon, you're looking for a particular bicycle that you learned about. All right. So could go on Amazon and look for it. And if you are looking for a specific item, it's important how information on Amazon has been architected to enable you find that specific item. Okay. And these are all connected to things like architectural components and navigation components as well. For instance, search, filter, stuff to enable you find exactly what you're looking for. The second reason people go to sites is, exploratory seeking, just looking around, just looking for what they might like and be inspired to get. I'm sure it's happened to a few of us before, where you visit a site to look for something, but after finding what you're looking for, not finding it, you decide to just browse around. And so it's important how information has been architected, because if it's not designed in such a way that people can easily move around, then you have a problem. Users will bounce off, and you will not be able to optimize the gains from your product. So exhaustive research, people trying to find as much information as possible. Think, for instance, that someone wants to find all they can find about the different types of a particular product. Maybe, again, bicycle, different types of bicycles on Amazon. It has to be, information needs to have been architected in such a way that they can easily find what they need to find. Of course, refining stuff. You found something once, you liked it, you want to come back and look for it again. It has to be easy to do that for users to get the best value from your site. But for businesses, there are a couple of benefits, but I'll talk about just those 4 very quickly. It helps improve employee productivity. In a study that was carried out for knowledge workers, people who work in spaces where they need to access knowledge to do their jobs, the inability to find information that exists and the consequent recreation of those same information per employee per year in losses. And so it's an expensive outcome when we don't have good information architecture for internal product. And of course, reducing marketing costs, because you have built a site, you've placed goods on the site, but if people are not cannot easily find what they're looking for, you have to do a lot of marketing to get them to see what you're trying to sell. And of course, this is connected to, for instance, SEO ranking. The better architected information on your site is, the easier it is to rank them and find them. And of course, sales and reputation. I found something, I want to share it with Anayo. It has to be easy to, with word of mouth, talk to him about it so he can go look for the same stuff and buy it. All right. So information architecture, navigation design. So information architecture just primarily with how to logically organize and structure information. While navigation design talks primarily about how to travel through and find information. Okay, think about a building, a very large building, or a large hospital or hotel. So you have, for instance, the laundry room, you have the main room area, you have, for instance, the sports area and all that stuff. How you've placed those various areas is, akin to information architecting. But how you access the laundry room from the main rooms area, access the sports complex from the restaurant, all of that interconnectivity, is what's concerned with navigation design. Of course, labeling the various areas for easily findability. They work together. I once heard someone say that navigation design is the chief of staff of information architecture. And you can have effective information architecting if people cannot navigate through the information to find what they need to get their jobs done. So think about this building, for instance. If this area, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse or like my cursor, but if the left area is for a particular kind of activity, the right area, how do you make it easy to move around? The prescription of an elevator at some point, a different type of walkway, a ramp, and all of that stuff, all of that with the labeling of the various places, including, for instance, deciding that if users are within the complex, they can use an app to find their way around. All that stuff is concerned with navigation design. So summarily, placement of areas and then easily finding each area. So what a simple product and complex product. First, I'd like to talk about how, or the context for complexity. This might not be a universal position, but that's the way that my experience, I've come to define what a simple or complex product is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you want to say something to me?
Yeah, no, I'm just reflecting to what you are sharing. I mean, I remember I have had to work for one of the biggest banks in South Africa, and I was actually looking at the signage used inside the branch and also around the ATMs, right? So yeah, I mean, we had to really look at the physical layout of the structure, so that because it's basically, I mean, in most banks in South Africa you'd find sales consultants, servicing consultants, receptionist, a cashier, a teller, right, that issues cash, right, and maybe like the branch manager, etc., right. But as these branches become modern, and you have to envision what a better information architecture looks like, right? Yeah, because as much as there's a strong element in security, to have revolving doors that are bulletproof, right? And you've got even the placement of the of those cashiers, right, of those tellers, and you are just very, very far from the exit for security purposes, right? You have to walk in right inside the branch and go somewhere in the back, right? And even though they wanted to balance the security with openness, right, where do you where do you place the receptionist? And even some with these modern branches, some people they're like, yo, is this still a branch? Is this branch still for me, right? How the furniture is arranged, right? And also even how now even the openness, right? Because remember, just like with with open plans, right? Traditionally we used to have closed rooms, to to partition the house, and you know what, you know, where the kitchen is at, etc. With this like openness, right? How do you still define, you know, architecturally, you know, those like unique spaces, right? Because as part of the information architecture, it's not just about the labels, right? They are like certain regions that need to be defined to serve specific purposes. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a really broad subject, and there's just very many applications and considerations involved in architecting information, especially for sites and all. And it's great how you keyed into the analogy and expanded on it. So thank you. Okay. So Mputumi, is it people out there? Can they ask questions? Can they? What's the plan? Is it after the presentation?
That's fine. I mean, like, anyone can ask, you know, questions at any time, and yeah. So that's fine. I mean, like, that's why I want us to engage. We've got more people now. You know, there's Leslie's here, Obia Julie's here. So guys, look, I know that there was a debate about the numbers, 19 billion versus 700, etc. Right? But I think there's more to it than just the numbers, and it's very easy to remember.
We sorted it out.
You
know? We love each other again. Don't worry about
it. Yeah. So I think the most important thing, right, for us, more than being correct, it's really about us having the opportunity to debate and share our ideas, right, and also to remind each other about the elements that are important that need to be brought into the discussion.
I have an idea, or I've had an idea for a while. You know the design to code problem. Basically taking from Figma into production and development, etc., and having that or communicate both ways, etc. So recently I watched a presentation, 13 minutes by Builder.io. You should go look it up. It's called Copilot or something. Really amazing. I think they've cracked it, or they've come as close as I've ever seen. But what it relates to, my idea relates to, is specifically design systems and their implementation and usage, because you don't get to use or utilize or learn how to operate and to fully sort of gain the benefits that a design system would offer you if you're not employed by a reasonably sized company. And that effectively describes, I would say, probably more than 80% of the designers out there, which means that they are not knowledgeable on a very key element of what they're going to be asked about in job interviews, etc. And there's no way you can't tell somebody how to use a design system. You have to show them, and nobody's going to show in their spare time. You know what I mean? So the only solution that I could think of, and I don't know what other people might think. I mean, if 20 years ago somebody told me that people in their millions would be watching kids play online games, I would say bullshit. But that's what Twitch is. So I'm curious, would it not make sense to find professionals that maybe they're not busy with something sensitive or whatever, just to share their screen in a live feed, and other people can just watch. They don't have to interact or ask questions. I think this would be extremely valuable as a whole for the community, you know?
Yeah. No, thanks for that idea. Thanks for that. So please, if you, thanks for that. So if you guys want to contribute to the topic, please, do so. If you have questions, let's do that. James.
Okay, thank you. So complexity, in this context, is by information type, information range, and information relationship. I'll try to, talk about them when I go into examples, but briefly, information type, just what types of information are you dealing with? And this can also be understood in terms of media, for instance. So Amazon has to deal with a lot of text, of course, information like pricing, images, perhaps some sites will deal with videos. And if you're looking at a product like WeChat, Chinese WeChat, very complex product because of the very many things which it's required to do. You have very many information type, and therefore this can affect or determine how complex a product is. Information range as well, like essentially by how much are you dealing with. So it's a lot of text, it's a lot of images, and so on and so forth, and relationship. How are they related? But let's quickly, I'll talk more about that. And they have simple products. Typically, they have one clear information layer, and a good example is WhatsApp. Well, ex-WhatsApp, but WhatsApp is relatively a simple product in this context. For instance, Telegram. But I'll show you an interface of WhatsApp so that you can see why I think it's a simple product. And there's usually one or more jobs to be done, but the few jobs to be done are related. Okay, so if you look at WhatsApp interface, the most things that people would like before the WhatsApp that you have now. And so all of these things, except for status, which is sort of like a social feature, social element, chats and calls are just really about communicating. And even, for instance, your voice notes, which is referred to in some circles as hold to speak, is part of chat. So it's a very simple submission. Now, simple doesn't mean that it's not useful or like simplistic. The idea is that the information that you're dealing with, not the information, for instance, that comes from the chats and the exchanges, but the information that's part of the fabric of the product, and not so many and not varied. And so you see chat, status, calls, and settings, quite simple. Not, really related. And the good example I'd like to bring here again is Amazon. So when you go on Amazon, you have varied information in several media type. It's a lot of hierarchy going on. It's complex information relationship. So I had planned to share, share Amazon's screen versus some other product screen, but let's see how much time we have just to buttress the point. Okay. All right. So Amazon complex, and then of course WeChat, another example. WeChat is referred to as Chinese app for everything. You can do just about everything. Well, that's the idea on WeChat. It's referred to as a super app because things are like really diverse on WeChat. You can, of course, pay bills, but you can also get a taxi. You can order for food. You can chat. You can send images. You can send documents. It's an app for lots of things. That's not a simple product to come up with, because remember, it's not about placing these features or possibilities. It's how you make it easy to move around logically. Okay, so what are best practices for complex products? Now, when you're dealing with a redesign of an existing product, it's slightly different how you approach it. Because, for instance, you may have to do a content inventory, a content audit, and the likes. But when you are dealing with a new product, which is, the scope I'm dealing with right now, it's you don't have to do some of those things. So, but very simply, and of course, for time's sake, as well as because I know have varied levels of experience on this call, I've tried to make the recommendations very simple. And those of us who are those in the audience who are experienced or who have done some information architecting would agree that these are really the basics that it comes down to. But the very first thing to find out is, after listening to the product need and what you're trying to design for or architect for, do you come to the realization that you are trying to architect a complex product? So once you realize the complex product because of the type of information you're dealing with, for instance, building an e-commerce site where you want to sell very many different types of things, or a heavy information site, like, for instance, if you visited NN Group, that is Nielsen Norman Group's website, they have a lot of resources, so the classification of this information and content to make sure users can find what they want very easily, it's not a simple endeavor. So if you realize you're working on a complex product, but the first thing is to just research, understand the business goals, understand what the users need to do vis-a-vis what I talked about earlier. Okay, are they coming back to find something they found before? Are they coming to just explore the site? Are they coming to find a specific thing? What's it about? Why are they there? So understand the needs. And then what's the information collective? That is, what's the range of information? What does the owner of the product want in this product? And then check out what the competition is doing, so that you're not reinventing the wheel unnecessarily. Okay, there's a lot of talk about, going back to first principles as a way of gaining competitive advantage. And that's true, that works, and that's a whole lot of discussion. But you want to know when it's best to find out what's obtainable in the industry, see what works, and toe the line of what works, so that you don't spend so much time doing what you don't need to do. But after you've done your research and you know what you're trying to deal with, second thing is an expression that comes from, I've heard in some quarters, called slice the elephant. How do you share an elephant? And this is not supporting poaching or that stuff. But let's say you have to eat an elephant. I'm not supporting, please, killing wild animals. Don't kill wild animals. So you're dreaming, and in the dream, you must share an elephant or you'll be in trouble. How do you do it? You got to slice it. Okay. You've got to break down the mammoth. You got to break down the task, what you're trying to do. So break down this information set into logical chunks, groups, and categories, and label these things and establish navigational pathways. Okay. And then the third thing is, of course, test and iterate. You agree with me that this is the basic story of design? You research, you build, you test, of course, you review. Review leads to iterating and so on. And so a couple of ways to test the effectiveness of what you've done. There's card sorting. Essentially, you're trying to find out how effective the logic you've categorized information with is. So you think that bicycles, scooters, and roller skates should all logically, for instance, buy under transport or transport gear or vehicles. Well, if someone is looking for a roller skates, do they think it's logical that they should go to transport or vehicles to look for roller skates? And so card sorting can help you find out how logical your categorization has been. So if people are not looking for it there, it might tell you that they don't think that it is a vehicle, even though you can move around with roller skates. Okay. Tree testing helps you find out how well your labels are. Do people move around easily based on how you've labeled things? And so this also is related to categorization. But can they find their way around? Interconnectivity, how effective is that? And of course, this click test, you want to find out how attractive, not visually attractive, but in terms of people's mental models of what elements should lead them to where, how effective those are. So on your interface, you have this button, that image, and this link and the rest. And you think that people would click on this to get to this other place, but they're not doing that. Then it tells you something is wrong. So click tests can help you know how effective, the links and the interactive components or elements are. For simple products, it's really just easy. You see, what I realized about simple products is people feel within themselves that simple products should be simple. They don't know it yet, they may not be experienced enough to tell you what a simple product should look like. But if I think that all I want to do is find something, then the simpler you can make it, the better. So it has the same path like complex products. You research, you find out business goals, user needs, information collective, competition, very, very similar. Now, but step 2 is where I recommend that you simplify as clearly as possible. So we see what Google did with their interface. They narrowed everything you'd want to do, on the web through Google's product to that search input element. So you type what you're trying to search for, and it opens the world for you to explore. Such simplicity is what you want to try to achieve with simple products. So the ability to remove excesses and remove things that are not so important in your labeling and streamline the elements of the information collective to very simple things like chats, calls, status, for instance, and put other things as capsules, encapsulate things together so people can easily find their way around the site from a simple interface is one very important thing to do when architecting for simple products. And of course, the very same things, you test and iterate using some of these, at least one, all of them. And of course, basic usability or usability analysis, and usability tests where people walk you through, for instance, cognitive walkthrough, what they're thinking as they navigate the site. These are also ways to find out if what you've done is effective. Now, I'm going to start to round up with some guidelines, which I found to be quite useful. They're proposed by a guy named Dan Brown as a foremost information architect. And I wanted these slides to be a go-to resource. So I just brought the things which he proposed as I saw them, okay? I'll move through them very quickly. There are about 8 of them. And I think that they are very, very, very useful recommendations. The first one talks about seeing content as objects that are alive, okay? Meaning because they are alive, they go through cycles and they can change. So nothing is cast in stone. And like, Leslie pointed out earlier about how the owners of WhatsApp decided that it's about time they monetize the app. That can happen. And so what it means is WhatsApp as you knew it 5 years ago will not necessarily be WhatsApp as you know it 5 years from now. So things can change. So treat things that way, okay? Keep things movable. The principle of choice. So keep the choices to a minimum, okay? So when you look at the Google search interface, it's very simple. There's just one space for you to type in what you like to search. And this makes it likely that that's what you go ahead and do. In past reports comparing Google search interface versus Bing's or old Yahoo's interface, this was recognized as one of the most important things that Google did to lead the market. So simple is good, but not too simple, okay? The principle of disclosure is what's talked about as progressive disclosure. So tell me 1 and 2, and then show me the rest as I ask for them. So when you see things like learn more, or links that you can click on to dive into that particular content collective, that's what the principle of disclosure is talking about. And exemplars, principle of exemplars, they show examples of content when describing the content or category. So on Amazon's site, for instance, you're talking about shoes. Can you show a good picture of shoes so that when they click on that link or that thumbnail, it takes them into the world of shoes? Okay, so examples will make it easier for people to understand your content and navigate through. Principle of front doors. assume that 50% of your users will use a different entry point than the homepage. And this is very important. You see, when you bring in the concept of funnels, especially for e-commerce sites or sites that command lots of, commercial traffic, then it means that people will find your site from different places. I might find a link to a particular type of, COP, and just send that link to Akinwale or Anayo or Leslie or Putumi, and they are supposed to go to that site through that link. They won't always come through the front door, search www.amazon.com and go start looking for COPs. So making it easy for them to find their way through any door into the site, then navigate and find whatever else they need to find, tied back to what I explained earlier about the various reasons, so the 4 reasons why people come to sites, will make your information architecting more effective. The last 3 are, 1, the principle of multiple classifications, that is, offer users several different classification schemes to browse sites content. That something is called a COP in this place doesn't mean it can't be called anything else. If for whatever reasons, it's also referred to as water container, okay? If they're trying to find a COP through water containers, it's not bad that they are able to find a COP thereby. It just has to be logical and should rhyme with their mental models. And this is something you can ensure of, or you can have a high degree of certainty of achieving through research and testing. And then the principle of focused navigation, that is, you should keep navigation simple and don't mix things. Things should not be ambiguous. What I think it is what it should be. And this ties back to, for instance, how you label things, okay? Where you can use 1 word, don't use 2 words. If there is a conventional name for a particular group of things, just stick to that name. Remember what this law about how Jacob's law, that people spend more time on other websites, and when they come to your site, they expect it to work as other sites have worked. So keep things simple. And then the principle of growth. Assume that the content on the website will grow. So make sure the website is scalable. It ties back to the very first principle, that is that this is not cast in stone and can expand because it's alive, right? I found many resources to help, but if there's just one resource that summarizes a lot of the important things about information architecture, I'd recommend Information Architecture. This is a link. So if you clicked on it, it'll take you straight up to that space where you can find a lot about the subject. So thank you very much. And I'm open to questions and contributions and the likes. Mputumi, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it was like really great. I wish I could have more time, so that we can double click, to those design principles. And I think it will be great to supplement those design principles for IA with some examples, right? And yeah, because some people might wonder, what do you mean by having like multiple entrance points, right? Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, it was like really great. And yeah, man. Yeah, I think you tried to share some examples. That was great. And I think this is a huge topic. And I think maybe you can come back, right? Maybe you might choose a different one, but I think there's an opportunity where we can double click on those design principles. And just to show various examples. And as I said, the UX architecture role is something that is growing in the space. And look, if you have experienced UX designers, this is something that they can do, right? But I think to do this better, right? I mean, as we have all seen, the need for us to craft better, digital experiences, you need to have like more focused, design design roles. Yeah, and like again, right? When you even look at Spotify, right? This thing called information architecture, it's a living experience. It evolves, and you can never come up with a perfect information architecture. You always keep learning, right? Depending, I think the important thing to mention is how to actively learn what's working and what's not working, and being close to data, right? Analyze, what features are being used, what's working, what's on demand, right? And what are the things that are less needed, so that you can continuously have your structure being informed by data. And yeah, so there's quite a lot like happening in the space, because even with the advancement of AI, right? The information architecture can be programmed, to respond based on the advanced analytics that can be done live, right? And yeah, because this is something that is viewed as being static. It's like, okay, you launch this thing and it will, you'll find your hamburger menu or your bottom lateral navigation, at the bottom, and you'll find the elevated like features maybe on your dashboard as soon as you land, etc. Right? Yeah, even I mean the idea of a lot more apps, they're even killing the idea of having a hamburger menu, because no one wants to navigate through a complex structure. And so how do you use advanced technology, right? Which is IA in this case, right? Where
Yes.
the information architecture can even be tailored to a particular customer, right? Because that's where we're going with this, right? It's like, okay, there's no use of having a generic optimized structure that doesn't work for me as an individual, and having that capability, to configure the structure, live, and you don't need to redeploy an app, to
In real time.
right, to do that.
In real time. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, even as we have seen, even with this, like, advanced, like, self-driving cars, where technology is like at the center of the experience, right? They will deploy features and the dashboard is adaptive, right? So that's where we're going. And I think it's worth having a deeper conversation around this. Yeah, and I mean, like you've mentioned, I mean, as I said, right, like the number of design principles, right? And I asked myself, right, how, like, so because to find that balance is always tricky, and I think not being too technical about it is also important, right? And being data driven is much more important than being too technical about it, because you can apply the best principles, but if those principles are not aligned, or they don't reflect the usage, of your solution, then what's the point, right? Yeah, But anyways, let me not be deep into this, a discussion. Yeah, I mean, I think the principles of like exemplaries, disclosure, and objects. I mean, there's a lot of like research and content shared about that, right? Even today, we know, even though you might have an optimized information architecture, some people might even prefer to just go to Google to find specific content on your website, instead of having to navigate. Yeah. So those are like some of the challenges that we have today, right? Because and I mean, it's okay. If I can just from Google search specific content to hopefully get to a specific path in your website, right? If that works for the users, that works, right? Even though we still feel the need, to optimize the structure, right? Again, I think the importance of having a needs-led structure, is something that we can talk about, instead of having like a heavily business-led structure. I know a lot of companies, because of the different departments, that they have, and it's been a long journey, to transform the structure. But anyways, let me. I see Obiajula, please jump in before we close.
Oh yeah, so I was just thinking off the top of my head when it comes to information architecture, right? I've used quite a number of products that are, very complex, right? Say for example, I'm a music producer and then I want to start making beats. I've never played an instrument before, and then I want to start making beats in maybe Adobe Audition or any of these softwares, right? So, and some kinds of project management softwares that are really complex, right? So I just wanted to ask if there are products that cannot be simplified beyond a certain point, right? That are they product like, okay, this particular product cannot be simplified beyond a certain point, because I know we as designers, we're always trying to make things easier for users, right? And there are products where you get to a point where I think this user will just have to learn this the hard way, right? So are there instances like that? So that's what I just wanted to ask.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say no, and you can say yes if you are lazy. When I say lazy, not because you're literally lazy. So the user needs, the user behavior evolves, right? And there would always be like new expectations, and like now, if we look at your iPhone, at the iPhone, I don't need to log in for me to take a picture. I can access, the camera, even if the phone is locked, right? So
Yeah.
that feature has been elevated. Like,
Mm.
even it's not even just a feature that you need to, you don't need you don't need to dig deep, right? That even the notifications that are being pushed, that's part of the information architecture, right? How can you progressively disclose, what is important, while you're reducing the induction cost, right? And so whenever you think you can't improve, it means that you just need to think deeper. But so do more research, right? Try to understand, users better, observe them, and try to understand their pain points, deeply. Try to look at the customer journey end to end, right? I mean, when you see Spotify being integrated, within Google Maps, right? That means now the IA has to cater more than just the structure for Google Maps, but to accommodate even, embedded apps within it, right? And because at the end of the day, it's really about like, how can I get to this, critical feature, right, without spending too much effort, right, or without feeling the complexity in terms of like having to comprehend the product, right? So that means I often talk about this principle, come to customers where they are, meet them where they are, right? And meeting them where they are can be applied in so many different ways. And also even when you look, so when you start doing research, even looking at the amazing apps that are out there or amazing work, or even from a different field, you can start questioning your approach, right? Okay, have we fine-tuned this thing? Because remember, this is not the aim is not to come up with the best information architecture. The aim is to elevate the most demanded features with minimum effort, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, you always have that exercise where you can prioritize. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, just to add something. I mean, very true. The things you've said, but this question reminds me of some article I read sometime. So the question is: are there times when you can't really simplify further, and the users have to deal with? And then, of course, what you're saying makes sense, because if you are user-centered, if it's still too complex, it means you're not solving their usability needs. But again, some other aspect to that question is: are there times when you do not need to further simplify? And that's what the article was speaking to directly. It talked about how in some industries, they don't need the interfaces to be too simple. A study was carried out where professionals wanted a certain level of complexity for professional pride, because that's what was obtainable in the industry, and it seemed like a part of the identity of that space. So there are times when users don't need it to be simpler, and these are usually specific types of users. For instance, the interface for was what health indicator monitoring software in hospitals. They don't need to be understandable necessarily by me, because I'm not a doctor. So if I'm looking at these interfaces, I might not need to. It don't need to be too simple to explain every single thing to me. So the doctors just need to be able to understand.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this ties back to just designing for the users. As long as it meets the users' needs, and you work with a human-centered approach, then it can be effective. And there's something else you mentioned just quickly, lastly, as well, about how information architecture shouldn't be for the sake of information architecting. The idea is that people should be able to find information and get stuff done. And so personalization and what you talked about, the design meeting people where they are at, is important. And so things must not be cast in stone. If, for instance, voice inputs are a way to go, we must not be stuck to visual user interfaces as a means of interaction. People should just be able to get stuff done with what you've done, and things can be fluid and not necessarily come from a structured database point of view, but from a fluid, adaptive, constantly changing to meet the specific needs of the situation point of view. Over to you, Putumi.
Sure, cool, guys. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, James Nongo, for coming, and Opia Julu. Also Les for being here. I also saw Emmanuel. Thank you, guys, and yeah, thank you for participating. There's a new challenge. It's out. It's out there. And yeah, basically, grab your cameras, take a picture of your awesome, home setup, and that's it. And tell us why you think your space is awesome. What thinking have you applied, in your setup? And yeah, thank you so much for the knowledge sharing session. And yeah, if you want to come, and if you've got a design topic that you want to speak about, let me know, and I'm happy to help you to choose a topic if you want that as well. Thank you so much, guys. It's been great. And yeah, to the winners, Obiajulu and Les, congratulations. I've sent the post. Yeah, we will talk offline to make arrangements. Yeah, thanks, guys.